So this is Karin at howtotap.com, and I'm in a class. I'd like Scott to please, who's my tripod. He's going to turn around so you all can wave. Too bad if you don't want to be on video, right? So he's going to make it slowly around. And I do Facebook Live every Saturday at 4-ish, but we were out doing that. And it's sort of like a mentoring kind of thing. I tell you, it's called the field report because it's the crap that happens in sessions. And so you're able, because there's so much time that we have right now to learn everything, like you guys just broke out, and you all knew Matrix perfectly and did it all. Right? Perfectly. Sure. Didn't everybody's like, it looks so easy. Well, it is easy once you figure it out. So what I did on last week's Facebook Live is I told a personal story about me thinking everybody around me is going to die, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Phyllis Reardon just joined us.
Hey, Phyllis. And so who's going to be joining us tomorrow, on Monday, in our Monday class. And so I told the story, and I tapped to find out what it was, and there was two different stories. One when my mother and father got divorced, and the other was when my older sister died. She lived for 5 days. What I didn't tell you is the rest of the story. And that's what I'm going to tell you now, because it is amazing what Matrix reimprinting not only can do, but the stuff that happens in Matrix. So what I found out is this one particular story is that my father learned the day my sister died two things. One is that everybody he loves is going to die and he can't do anything about it. And he's a control freak, or was a control freak. Right? So that's where I picked that up. And what happened is when we cleared it and I went back, so what we did is I went in and talked to my father. He's standing at the window where Diana is on the other side, 5 days old, not even, and she's dying. And so what he wanted to do is he wanted to watch her soul leave to heaven. So we did that, and we watched the soul leave to heaven. And like I said last time, what we did is, souls live on. She's probably coming back. I was in a workshop one time, and somebody comes up to me in big tears, is like, "No, it was you. You were Diana, and you're the one. You've come back." And I'm like, "Great." And so it doesn't matter to me. The deal is that my father learned that it's unsafe to love, and so the thing is he learned that it was unsafe to love, and something felt off because we learned that everything's fine. She goes up. I learned, the Matrix reimprinting session was about me, right? So that's why I went back. So when I was working with my father, he...
Jane Lee says hello.
Hello. And what happens is that, he was fine watching her leave. It wasn't enough. And I realized that he learned it's unsafe to love completely. Now, I didn't learn that, but he did, so I didn't want to leave. So what I did is I stayed there, and I'm talking to him, and I'm like, what am I going to say to my father to convince him that it's safe to love again? There's no way. And so he's passed away, so I don't have a Matrix self to bring in. Guess who shows up? My father's soul. My father's soul come in. Now, how do I know there's a difference? Well, this one is, first of all, after my father passed away, he shows up in a lot of my matrices. The weird thing is about my father is that the man that I knew and the man that shows up as a soul, I don't care if you believe this or not, I'm just going to start telling you about the weird things that can happen in Matrix.
Billy Herbstman.
Hey, Bill. And so he went to Israel with me to tape the Matrix stuff that we did for the trauma victims, and he had no idea what he was into because he's a sports guy. And I bring him as a producer to Israel to do Matrix. That was interesting. So my father comes in, and when he comes in, the first thing that's weird is he's happy. My father's always happy in the Matrix. He's smiling. I realized when I was 30 years old, when I was visiting him one time, because we didn't live together, they were divorced, I saw him talk to somebody, and he smiled at them. And I went into shock. It looked like he hurt his face. And I realized, I'm 30 years old, I've never seen my father smile before. How sad is that? That's all. And here's the guy coming, Soul Daddy is smiling. The other thing is Soul Daddy has a sense of humor. My father does not have a sense of humor. I'm telling you, he has no sense of humor. Okay? Also, he always wants to help. My father does never want to help. He wants you to do it by yourself so that you learn the hard way. But this guy, this soul guy, if he didn't look exactly the same and I knew it was my father, I would really not, I would think that I'm crazy or that I'm making it all up, and I'm probably making it up, but it doesn't matter. But the Soul Daddy is different. So Soul Daddy comes in, and we're standing at the glass door looking into Diana, and I try to say to Soul, I'm glad you're here, thank you so much, I have no idea what to do. And he says this, I got this. Another thing my father would never do is he would never get it for you because you're supposed to learn how to do it yourself. Even if you crash and burn, that's how people learn. Of course, I've taken care of all this now. But so Soul Daddy's got this. They walk over, and they start talking to each other, and I'm like, I can't even hear what they're saying. And I'm like, Matrix reimprinting, I don't have to do everything. So I wait. So real father at the time, the Matrix, not the soul father, but the father at the time in the Matrix that I'm in, the one that heard his daughter die. He comes over, he says, I know what I want to do to get me through this. Bonus! I didn't have to do anything. Get ahead. He runs away.
Amy Gogol and Jessica Schell.
Oh, hey Amy. And then who?
Jessica Schell.
Hey. And I'm like, do I follow my father running down the hallway? And I look over at Soul Daddy, and he goes, like that is my father would ever do something like that. I got it, and it's going to be okay. Yeah, like my father never said it's going to be okay. It's like, all right. Here comes my dad with my mother in a wheelchair, racing down the hallway with staff following him. And I'm in front of this window, and he goes racing by, and apparently there's 2 double doors. And he bursts through the double doors. He takes my mom in the wheelchair next to him. I'm going to cry. I didn't think I'd get through this without crying. So he runs in with my mother in the wheelchair. She picks up Diana. They're looking at Diana with all this love in her heart. And Diana's soul, come on. So this isn't close to me or anything, right? That's why it's hard to do Matrix on yourself, by the way. Because you've got to stay as separate as a practitioner, and here I am. Blah, 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 blah. And so, but again, I wasn't like that in there because I'm busy being a practitioner, but now thinking about it. Blah, blah, blah. And so they're there, Dad, my father standing behind her, and Diana's soul. And it looks just like in the movies, you know, like Ghost. But she looks like she's in this christening outfit, you know, the long white thing. So she goes up, and then the weirdest thing happened. They looked at each other with like this peaceful love. My mother, she's got peaceful love. My father, on the other hand, peaceful love ain't happening. And I'm like, I need to reimprint this. Oh my God, I need to reimprint this. And so I'm reimprinting that they're looking at each other and everything's fine and happy. And I look over and guess what Soul Dad's doing? Guess? He's reimprinting. I'm reimprinting it. He's watching it. He's reimprinting it. What I'm telling you is you don't know what you're healing when you're doing this. The story gets better. You think that this is it? And now I can feel that there's a difference, that he learned something and I learned something. My mother's coming over today, that my real mother in my real life to my real house. And so I'm going to say, Mom, I did this crazy thing with Diana and Daddy. I want to find out if, you know, if it's real, you know? And she says, well, how are you going to do that? And I turn around and I start drawing. And I go, there's this window, and it's sort of like set in because it's concrete blocks. And I remember it really clearly because apparently it was important for me to know this. Okay? So I do the concrete blocks. And I was like, Mom, there's these concrete blocks, and I know they're concrete blocks because what's happening is that you can see the inset. The window is set on top of a concrete block, so you can see both sides, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? You can see the concrete here and on the other side of the window, and for some reason this is extremely important. I don't know. And I'm doing this, and I'm saying, and I'm like doing, I'm drawing and stupid stuff, and I am not an artist. And I'm like, it's kind of a cream color, and you know, and so Daddy's standing here, and Diana is in there, and I turn towards her, and tears are pouring out of her face. She has not said a word, but tears are just pouring down her face. I'm like, Mom! I grab her hand, I start tapping, and her words, she finally says something. You weren't even there. Apparently, this is exactly what it looked like. exactly, to the detail. You think that this is your imagination? You are, there is no such thing as time, right? We are healing. You have no idea what you're healing. So I tap on my mother. I tell her that whole story. Here's the last thing. Not only is she getting over that I knew exactly what it looked like, I wasn't even born yet, but I told her the story and how Daddy was standing behind her, and she says this to me. She says, I can't believe how important it was that he was standing next to me. Like it actually happened. Like that's what happened in history. It didn't. By the way, my father and my grandmother, the hospital staff would not allow her to touch her own daughter. And when she died, she never saw Diana. And when she died, my grandmother and my father buried her and wouldn't tell my mother where. And then what she said, I was so glad he's standing beside me. As though it was real. And I talked to her, I said, Mom, I'm going to tell the world about this on Saturday. Are you okay with me, sharing all this? And she said, yeah, it's fine. Because I can't believe how great it made me feel that he was standing beside me. I'll never forget that. I will never forget how great it was. Creative completion, people. We did it the right way, the first way, that the soul went up into the air. And then we did it was just flip-flopped. And then we went back and did it a way that didn't work, but it was a creative completion. It allowed her to have a completion that she was never able to touch her child. And that Arlen, my father, who is not somebody to stand behind you and support you, stood behind her and supported her. That is so not real. She knows it's not real. But she still to this day smiles about it and says that was so important. So this is what you never know what's going to happen. So I went in there to help Karen, right? Because we're going to go heal ourselves, right? I solved the problem with my father thinking people are going to die, that it's unsafe to love. My soul father got to re-imprint that there's love and everything's okay. Gosh knows what it did to Diana's soul. I don't know. If it's touching my father and me and my mother, who knows? Maybe it helped Diana's soul too. Who knows? Just keep your mind open and just go with the flow, right? And that's my Facebook for today. Sorry about ball my face up. And thanks so much for joining me. It's every Saturday at 4, and please come to my class. Show everybody my class. This is great. All these people, yay! They're having a great time. They don't look tired at all. And I do this I try to do every Saturday at 4. We're a little late today because we were all in breakouts, but thanks so much, and you can just hit the bye-bye button.
That's the one called finish.
That one's the one called finish.
See you guys.
Thank you.